welcome back to the deep dive. It is one thing to order a coffee in a second language.
Oh, yeah.
You point at the menu, you smile, maybe
Yeah.
you stumble through the word for lard.
Right, you just kind of hope for the best.
Exactly. And if you mess up, well, the absolute worst case scenario is that you end up with like a small espresso instead of a massive latte. The stakes are incredibly low.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a mild inconvenience. You just drink the espresso and move on with your day.
Right. But then you walk into a bank
Mm.
and suddenly that whole linguistic safety net just completely vanishes.
Oh, it's a totally different world.
It is.
Yeah.
You aren't just trying to get a caffeine fix anymore. You are managing your livelihood, your rent, your actual security.
Yeah, the stress levels just skyrocket.
They really do. And the language itself, I mean, even if you were completely fluent in conversational English, it feels like it was designed on another planet.
Well, because it essentially is. I mean, when money is on the line, the margin for linguistic error drops to basically zero.
Wow, zero.
Yeah, you are entering an environment where words carry binding legal weight. And that completely changes the rules of engagement.
Which is exactly the mission for our deep dive today for you, the listener.
Oh.
We're looking at this stack of incredibly revealing materials.
We've got some fascinating stuff today.
We really do. We have transcripts of actual bank dialogues, linguistic breakdowns of financial terminology, and this really deep history of English money idioms.
Because banking in a second language, it isn't just about rote memorization.
Right.
It's about understanding the underlying architecture of how native English speakers actually conceptualize wealth.
Yes. And we're going to trace that arc today, starting from the highly structured, almost robotic terminology you have to use at the teller's window.
Right, the super formal stuff.
Exactly. All the way to the bizarre, really highly emotional ways people actually talk about money when they're sitting around the dinner table at home.
I love the dinner table idioms. They're so weird.
They are so weird. But I want to start right at the front lines first, the teller's window.
Okay, let's do it.
So if you are setting up your financial life, you have to navigate the foundational language of just opening an account.
Right.
Now, assuming you already know the basic mechanics of how a checking account or a savings account functions, what fascinates me is the linguistic packaging of it all.
The words we choose.
Yeah. The terminology itself tells a story about what the bank expects you to do with your money. Like, setting it up is almost like setting up a new smartphone.
Oh, that's an interesting way to put it.
Yeah, like the checking account is your daily operating system, right? And the savings account is your long-term cloud storage.
That is a perfect analogy. And if you look at the terminology used outside of American English, for instance, it gets even more descriptive.
Really? Like where?
Well, like in British English, a checking account is often called a current account.
Oh, current. Like a current of water in a river.
Precisely. The language literally implies flow. It's money in motion, just constantly coming in and going out.
That makes so much sense.
Right. Whereas a savings account, well, that implies hoarding, securing, stopping the flow.
Right, locking it away.
Yeah.
But when you approach the teller to actually set these up, you encounter this incredibly rigid vocabulary.
Very rigid.
You don't just say, I want to put my money here. You have to state, I would like to open a personal account.
Yeah, it sounds so formal.
And you immediately have to ask, what's the minimum balance required? That phrase, minimum balance, has always struck me.
How so?
Well, balance makes you think of a physical scale, like the bank is essentially weighing your funds.
Yes. And if the scale tips too low, you get hit with a fee.
Exactly. And that rigid phrasing, it extends to credit too, right?
Oh, definitely. We were looking at a transcript of a customer applying for a credit card.
Yeah, the one from the sources.
Right. And they don't ask to just borrow money. They ask for a spending limit of $10,000.
A spending limit.
Yeah. And then the bank clerk counters by offering a gold card, emphasizing that they will earn reward points for every dollar spent.
It's like a very choreographed dance.
Yeah.
It really is.
But you know where it gets really strange? The vocabulary surrounding physical cash.
Oh, yeah. The physical money terminology is fascinating.
It feels like a secret code. Like if I walk in with a $100 bill, I might ask the teller, could you break 100?
Right. Break.
Why break? It's such a violent verb for a totally mundane transaction.
Well, think about the underlying mechanism there. You are taking a single solid unit of immense value and literally fracturing it into smaller pieces.
Okay, that makes sense. Like you're shattering it.
Exactly. You're asking for it in tens, please. The language treats the large bill as something monolithic that just has to be broken to be useful in everyday commerce.
And if you don't want those shattered pieces to be too small, you have to specify, no coins, please.
Right, or you might ask for rolled coins.
Oh, right, those very specific paper wrappers banks use to bundle change back into a solid unit.
Yeah, back into a cylinder. But what were you saying earlier about the verbs?
Yeah, I really want to push on this, because if I want to put money into my account, I don't just say, put money in. The teller requires me to say, I'd like to make a deposit.
Right, made a deposit.
And if I hand them a check, they tell me to endorse the back of the check or fill out a deposit slip.
Yeah, the phrasing is very specific.
It reminds me of computer programming. Like if you are writing code, you can't just use synonyms.
Oh, definitely not. The system would crash.
Exactly. If the system requires a specific command and you type something that just means the same thing, the code throws an error. So why is banking English built like a rigid operating system?
That's a great question.
Why do we have to say endorse this check instead of just saying sign this paper?
Well, I wouldn't just call it rigid. I'd actually call it legally defensive.
Legally defensive, what do you mean?
There is a massive functional difference between signing a piece of paper and endorsing a check. I mean, sign just means you put your name on something.
Right, like signing a birthday card.
Right, exactly. You can sign a guest book at a wedding. You can sign a cast on a broken arm. It carries zero financial weight.
Okay, so it's just an autograph, basically.
Right. But endorse, which actually comes from the Latin word endorsere, meaning to put on the back of that, carries a very specific binding legal mechanism.
Oh, wow, so it's a legal trigger.
Exactly. When you endorse a check, you are legally authorizing the transfer of those specific funds, and you're accepting liability if the funds aren't there.
So the bank uses fixed, predictable phrases because the legal system just lacks the flexibility of human intuition.
Precisely. One ambiguous word could cost an institution millions in a dispute. So the rigidity is a defensive wall.
Okay, that makes perfect sense when everything is going according to plan.
Yeah.
The legal rigidity protects the transaction.
That's right. It keeps everything safe.
But that wall only holds up if the system is actually functioning. What happens to the language when the plan completely fails?
Well, then the linguistic environment immediately shifts. You go from routine administration straight into crisis management.
Yes. And we have a perfect, incredibly stressful example of this in the transcripts.
Oh, the Robert Chen scenario.
Yes, a customer named Robert Chen. He lives at 1029 Paul Drive, Rockville, Maryland. And Robert is in full panic mode.
It's a nightmare scenario. He is calling his bank to report a lost debit card.
Right. And for a non-native speaker, the instinct is often to just scramble, right?
Yeah.
To use overly descriptive language to explain the panic.
Yeah, to just start venting. But look at how the bank teller manages the dialogue. The teller acts as, like, a linguistic first responder.
A linguistic first responder. I like that.
Yeah, the very first question they ask is, when did you notice your card was missing?
I want to pause on that specific word for a second. Missing.
It's an important word.
It is. Because it is a massive psychological and grammatical distinction from the word missed.
Oh, absolutely. It is a critical distinction in a crisis. Missing is an adjective describing a state of reality. The card is gone. It is an objective fact.
Right. But if I say I missed it with an ED at the end, that's a verb. Like I missed the bus. I missed the deadline.
Exactly. And notice the implication of fault there. If you miss something, it's on you.
Right. It's my mistake. I failed to catch the bus.
Yeah. So by asking when the card went missing, the teller completely avoids assigning blame. They aren't asking, when did you lose it?
Which would instantly put Robert on the defensive.
Right. They are just neutrally establishing a factual timeline.
Okay, so Robert tells the bank he just noticed it was missing and that his absolute last purchase was yesterday afternoon for $23.
And then the teller drops the hammer?
Yeah, the teller says, it looks like there has been some activity on your card since then.
Such a loaded phrase.
It really is. Now, I just have to point out the dark irony of banking vocabulary here. In literally any other context, the word activity is fantastic.
Oh, sure. We have a fun activity plan for the kids.
Exactly. Everyone cheers. But in banking, if someone says there is activity on your account, your stomach just drops.
Yeah, you've probably been robbed.
Right. Why do banks use such a cheerful, neutral word for theft?
Because it is sterile. I mean, the bank does not know yet if it is actually theft.
Oh, I guess it's true.
Yeah, maybe Robert's spouse used the card. Maybe a recurring subscription just hit the account. The teller uses the word activity specifically to prevent emotional escalation before the facts are clear.
So it's about de-escalating panic.
Exactly. And more importantly, notice the grammatical structure the teller uses here. There has been some activity since then.
Oh, right. The present perfect tense tied to the word since.
Right. It connects a past event, the moment Robert lost control of the card, directly to the present reality on the ledger.
Wow. Okay, so in banking, this isn't just a grammar rule. It is the boundary line for fraud liability.
Exactly. The timeline establishes who is responsible for the money.
It creates a paper trail of facts. By verifying his full name, his exact Rockville address, the exact dollar amount of the last known purchase. The teller is using language to basically construct a fence around the chaos.
That's a great way to put it. And once that fence is built, Robert has to use a very specific adversarial phrase to fight back.
Right. He says, I want to dispute those charges.
Or alternatively, there's an unauthorized charge.
Dispute.
Mm.
You know, you aren't just complaining when you say that.
No, not at all.
Like if you complain about a bad meal at a restaurant, you might get a free dessert. But disputing is a legal challenge.
Yeah, you are formally arguing with the ledger itself. You are telling the institution that the activity occurred without your legal consent.
And once you trigger that specific legal mechanism, the bank can move to the resolution phase.
Right. The teller tells Robert, in the meantime, let's cancel your account and issue you a new card.
Issue. There is that institutional weight again.
Yeah, they don't just give you a card or send you one, they issue it.
Because issue implies authority, right? Like a king issues a royal decree. A government issues a passport.
Exactly, and a bank issues a financial instrument. It reinforces that power dynamic and the legal structure we talked about earlier.
So by leaning into this formal terminology, disputing charges, having cards issued, a customer like Robert brings order back to his own panic.
It gives him a tool to regain control.
Okay, so we've survived the teller's window. We've navigated the crisis management and the legal API of banking.
We made it through.
But when people actually go home, like when they sit around a table with their friends and family and talk about money, this rigid terminology just completely evaporates.
Oh, it is a radical shift in the linguistic environment.
It really is. It gives way to this wild, colorful, incredibly bizarre set of idioms.
The secret language of money.
Exactly. The historical guides we are looking at document how native speakers actually communicate financial stress and success. And practically none of it involves the word money.
It's all metaphors.
Let's look at expenses first. If something is wildly expensive, a native speaker will say it cost an arm and a leg.
Which is such a visceral image if you think about it.
It is. And the origins are actually debated. Like, one theory suggests it comes from soldiers returning from World War II who had literally lost limbs.
Oh, wow, that's heavy.
Yeah, using that ultimate tragic physical loss as a metaphor for an enormous price. But then another theory claims it comes from early American portrait painters.
Wait, painters?
Yeah. They would supposedly charge clients more money if they wanted their arms and legs painted in detail, rather than just a simple, cheaper bust of the head and shoulders.
That is wild. But regardless of which origin is historically accurate, I mean, both theories highlight a core psychological truth.
Which is?
Spending a massive amount of money feels like losing a piece of your own body.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It is genuinely painful. And we see the same exact mechanism in the phrase pay through the nose, which means being forced to pay an unfairly high, exorbitant price.
Right. And the history on that one is grim.
Really grim.
It supposedly dates back to the 9th century when the Danes conquered parts of Ireland and imposed this brutal tax. And if you couldn't pay your taxes, they would literally slit your nose from tip to eyebrow.
Oh my.
A literal nose tax.
Now, to be fair, modern etymologists are highly skeptical that the Danes actually engaged in mass nasal mutilation for tax evasion.
Okay, that's a relief.
Yeah, but the fact that this gruesome imagery stuck in the English language for 1,000 years is super telling. It proves that human beings view excessive taxation or unfair expenses as a literal form of bodily harm.
Okay, so that is the pain of spending. What about the joy of earning?
That's a lot happier.
Yeah, when people talk about making a salary to support their family, they say they are bringing home the bacon.
Right, and again, we find multiple highly debated origin stories here. One traces back to a 12th century English town called Dunmow.
Okay, what happened in Dunmow?
The church there supposedly offered a side of bacon to any married couple who could prove they hadn't argued with each other for a full year and a day.
Oh my goodness. A prize I'm fairly certain most couples would still fiercely compete for today.
Without a doubt. But then another theory links it to catching greased pigs at American county fairs.
So random. But functionally, why bacon? Like out of all the foods?
Well, in historical agrarian societies, cured pork was a really high-value protein. It was a symbol of surviving the brutal winter.
Ah, so it represented security.
Exactly. So bringing home the bacon evolved to mean securing the fundamental survival of the household.
And once you secure that survival, you aren't supposed to spend it all immediately.
Right.
You are told to save for a rainy day,
Right. Another farming metaphor.
which obviously comes from agriculture, where unexpected rain could ruin a harvest or halt a day's labor, completely destroying your income. A rainy day is the ultimate metaphor for bad luck.
Definitely.
But I have to ask you about this broader pattern we're seeing. Like, we have arm and a leg, nose, bacon, rainy day. And if we look at idioms about being broke, people say they have to tighten their belt.
Which is very literal, by the way. It dates back to the Great Depression in the 1930s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when people literally couldn't afford food, they lost body mass and had to physically pull their belts tighter to keep their trousers up.
That is so sad.
It is. It shifted from a description of physical starvation to a metaphor for financial restraint.
Right. And if they spend too much, they break the bank, which comes from a casino gambler winning more chips than the table holds.
All right.
And if they have a steady, effortless income, they call it a cash cow, treating a business product like livestock that just needs to be milked.
It's a lot of farm imagery.
So why this obsession with farm animals, weather, and body parts? Like, why do English speakers refuse to just say, I earn my salary and I'm putting a percentage into my savings account?
Because finance is fundamentally taboo.
Taboo.
Yeah, it is socially awkward, it triggers deep insecurities, and honestly, it is inherently mathematical,
Yeah.
which humans generally struggle to process emotionally.
Okay, so using these metaphors acts as a psychological buffer.
Yes. A buffer against the math. Think about it from a behavioral economics perspective. If you just talk about abstract numbers, percentages, interest rates, ledger balances, it doesn't trigger a human emotional response.
Yeah, it's really hard to feel attached to a spreadsheet.
Exactly. But if you translate those numbers into physical realities, it actually changes your behavior.
Oh, I see.
Everyone understands the physical discomfort of a tightened belt. Everyone understands the primal security of bringing home food. The idioms, ground abstract, terrifying mathematics, and shared, visceral human experience.
It softens the edges of a taboo topic, so we can actually talk about it at the dinner table without triggering a panic attack.
That's exactly it.
We even deal with things that have no physical reality at all, like offering a penny for your thoughts when someone is daydreaming.
Right, which traces back to the 1500s when a single penny actually had significant purchasing power.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a way to symbolically attach real-world value to the silent, invisible labor of a person's mind.
And of course, the ultimate parental proverb, money doesn't grow on trees,
Classic.
reminding children that wealth requires human toil, unlike an apple you can just pluck from a branch. So, looking back, what does this entire spectrum mean for you, the listener, trying to navigate this language? Let's trace the arc of what we've uncovered today.
Well, we started inside the fortress of the bank. We saw that the rigid, robotic formalities are not just polite customer service. They are a defensive legal code.
Right. You don't just sign a paper. You endorse a check, transferring liability.
And we looked at the high-stakes emergency grammar of disputing an unauthorized charge.
Yeah, we saw how a teller uses neutral words like missing and activity to de-escalate panic, and how the formal power of issuing a new card brings order back to your life.
And then we stepped outside the bank, shedding the legal code entirely for the emotional, agrarian metaphors of paying through the nose and breaking the bank.
So you now have a comprehensive toolkit. Whether you are applying for a mortgage, freezing a stolen debit card, or just complaining to a friend that a new car costs an arm and a leg,
Yeah.
this vocabulary isn't just a list of words.
No, it's so much more than that.
It is the framework for how English speakers conceptualize risk, liability, and wealth. You can actually move through the English-speaking world with financial confidence.
But there's a fascinating contradiction here, and it is a final thought I want to leave you with.
Okay, let's hear it.
We know that the language we use shapes how we perceive the world. Think about our deep reliance on these ancient agricultural idioms. Cash cows, rainy days, bringing home the bacon.
They are all rooted in physical dirt, physical weather, physical survival.
Exactly. But modern banking is completely decoupling from the physical world.
Oh, that's true. It is becoming entirely digital.
Right. There is no physical bacon anymore. Soon, there won't even be physical pennies to offer for someone's thoughts. It is all just invisible ones and zeros shifting on a glass screen.
Wow. So as physical cash disappears entirely in the next few decades, will we eventually lose these idioms?
That's the question.
If a generation never handles a physical coin, will they still talk about breaking 100?
Mm.
Or will we still be talking about bringing home the bacon a century from now, long after paper money is locked away in museums?
It is the ultimate test of language. Will our vocabulary ever truly catch up to our digital reality? Or are human beings always going to require the physical metaphors of a farm to understand the terrifying abstractions of a bank account?
It's a wild thing to think about next time you check your balance on an app. So the next time you walk into a bank and feel that wave of second language stress, just remember the architecture you are dealing with.
Remember the rules of the game.
The language of money is built to be a rigid, legal safety net on the inside and a wild, emotional farm on the outside. And now you have the master key to navigate both.